Alright, hey y'all, hey. We are back with Tia Mowry, My Next Act, Season 1, Episode 4, All Is Well. So we start the episode with Tia doing her remote auditions out in her backyard. This time she's doing an audition, I guess about a movie with bridesmaids, I'm not for sure. But it seems as though she did well. So y'all, Jerome is back. Hey, I guess, but hey girl, hey. Anyway, she says she's used to Jerome messing with her, and he calls her butthead weirdo, and she actually embraced her weirdness. She said that in her confessional. Like, she said, I am weird and I'm okay with it. So it's like, Jerome, when you going home? Y'all, I thought last episode was his last. I guess he gonna be stuck with us. I kind of like Jerome. Okay. So in the next scene, we see Tia at her doctor's appointment for her mammogram. And y'all, I don't know if you had a mammogram, but those things don't feel great. I've had mine, and I actually have to go back this year for my second one. Not the best, but whatever. So in the next scene, we see Cairo outside talking to Jerome, and y'all, he's really good with Cairo, and he's babysitting Cairo because Tia is at the doctor's appointment having her mammogram done. So y'all, in the next scene, Tia arrives back home, and she and Jerome discusses his day with Cairo. He tells Tia that Cairo has a big personality, and I totally agree. She's such a sweet girl, y'all, and she's such a sweet girl. So Tia says that Cairo can be a little bossy, and Jerome was like her mama. Jerome then asked Tia, has she thought about putting Cairo in commercials, or just having her acting and stuff like that. And so Tia says in her confessional she has mixed feelings about Cairo getting into the industry. She also says she has learned to work hard and make her money at a young age, and it carried over into adulthood. And she says it can be a blessing and a curse. She says as a kid you are treated as an adult. She says her feelings change every now and again, and like, only thing I can think about, I don't know if y'all watched that Nickelodeon on Max, HBO Max, that documentary about the Nickelodeon kids. It's a doozy. I watch most of it except for that last episode. It's very heavy. So if she decides not to, I completely understand. So y'all, she says that it was a lot of pressure, and it was her job to make people laugh, smile, and make the show successful. So Jerome asked Tia, how did she get into acting? And Tia says her and her sister started out doing pageants and talent shows. And one day, I want to say she was watching the Cosby Show and Star Search, and she told her mom she wanted to do that. And then I want to say they moved to LA. In 3 years being in LA, they started Sister. And she said life was never the same for her. Tia says how her parents were still, militant, so she still had to do chores. They had to do laundry, and she still was able to have a childhood because her parents saw them as Tia and Tamara. So So I'm just gonna say shout out to her parents because they protected her. They protected both of them as much as they could. She also says that her parents sheltered her, and she also says that she missed out on a lot of things like her prom, and now she's catching up with her normal life. She doesn't have a lot of friends, but she also doesn't want this type of lifestyle for Cairo either. She wants her to have a life, both of her kids, not just Cairo, but she wants both of her kids to have a life and enjoy and experience their childhood like fully. So Jerome tells Tia, he's proud of her, and she gets emotional. And then he tells her don't start crying because he hates when she does that. And he manages to make such a beautiful moment a Debbie Downer. And I get that that's his personality, but his personality kind of rubs me the wrong way. And he has a way of invalidating her feelings and her emotions sometimes. He disregards her, and I personally don't like that. And I also want to say that could have been his upbringing, that, he was probably, like one of those people that couldn't cry, couldn't express their emotions. And it's just, for me, I cannot. That is a trigger for me. And so we get to the next scene where Tia is in her room getting ready for, in the bed. She gets a phone call from Charles. And they exchange pleasantries. He compliments her and he asks her to go out on a second date. And for me, I was really happy that she agreed to go. So kudos to you, Tia. Kudos. Charles is very handsome. You don't have to marry the guy. You just go out. You like to eat. He likes to eat. And it's just as simple as that. So y'all, we get to the next scene where Tia is in a car with Sierra. And Tia gets a phone call from her doctor. And her doctor says that the mammogram results came in and then they found it to be abnormal. And they need her to schedule a biopsy ASAP just to check to see if she's okay. So at this point, Tia is very shocked. And Sierra says she doesn't want her to worry. And Tia at the moment is extremely emotional and she has a breakdown. So Sierra tells Tia not to self-diagnose or jump the gun, because in that moment, and then she also tells her to just reschedule so we can find out more, because now Tia is anxious, and so she's getting ahead of herself and she's thinking the worst, and sometimes we do that instead of just letting it be and just going with the flow and seeing and crossing that bridge when you get there. I get it, because that's a scary feeling. I don't know what it's like. I know people that are very close to me that have had, that have been survivors multiple times, and they've experienced that. So I don't want to dismiss anybody's feelings or emotions, so y'all forgive me. But in this case, I just want Tia to just get rescheduled, get in there, and then find out what's happening. And just in the meantime, just try to regulate her emotions, or just kind of think the best. Think the best instead of the worst. So then Sierra comes over to Tia's house, and she finds Tia Googling cancer with black women and symptoms and all of these things. And so Sierra tells Tia not to do that, and she's stressing herself out, kind of like when the situation happened with her divorce and all the stuff that was just coming out in the media, and she just kept reading the comments, and it was doing something to her. And this isn't no different. This is doing something to her. Again, that anxious feeling just kind of have you everywhere. So Sierra takes Tia out to go eat, and she also calls Natasha and Alina to meet up with them for lunch. So Tia go ahead and she discloses the mammogram situation, and we find out that Alina shares her experience because she's a cancer survivor. And in that moment, y'all, she gave Tia so much comfort. And then Tia gets emotional, but her friends reassure her that she will be okay. And y'all, I really like her friend group. I really do, because they're honest with her, they're loving towards her. Everything they do is in love, everything they do is intentional. And not only is it one-sided, she's actually she's the same to them. So y'all, I really enjoy her friendships with the ladies. So she tells them about Charles and that they were going on a second date, and I want to say they were going to a sushi place. So in this moment, Tia puts a lot of pressure on herself, but I also understand, because I literally did the same thing. I've been doing the same thing all weekend about life, but this ain't about me. Anyway, Jerome, we get to the next episode. The next part, and Jerome says that him and Tia start to talk about cancer, and Jerome says that their family has a history of cancer, and as y'all know, his mom recently passed away from cancer, and it wasn't just his mom, it was his mom and his dad, and he says that it's not fun. So we get to the next episode where Tia is at her reappointment. I really believe Tia would be okay. Her doctor was very kind, very informative, and seemed very caring, rather than have those doctors that's always pushing us off or making us feel like the things that we are experiencing, we're really not experiencing. So I noticed that Tia actually definitely breaks the fourth wall on this show. Because, I guess there's a rule in reality TV, you can't break the fourth wall. But she does. Often. Anyway, so we get to the next scene where Tia is getting ready for her date with Charles. And she gives herself a pep talk. So then, Cairo is like, I want you to stay home. And Tia explains to her, I'm going to hang out with some friends. And she was like, what friends? What kind of friends? And y'all, Cairo is 6. So, she's so indecisive, but she's so sweet. So, she explains everything to her, and then she leaves and go on her date. So Tia actually meets up with Charles for their sushi date. She says that they compliment each other. He gave her he actually sent her flowers. Really pretty flowers. He sent her flowers. Charles, she asked him about his daughter. He talks about his daughter. He says she's 7. And so I think he went into more detail, y'all, but I didn't get the rest of that. He also tells Tia that he wants to start a family, and we know that Tia isn't there yet. She just isn't. She's still trying to navigate a life with just her, and I completely understand that. So she's still trying to navigate just Tia. and her parenting, like just her as a single woman, as a woman, and her as a mother. And so it's kind of hard to just want to add somebody, and you know, but she's not ready. I just keep saying that. I'm gonna continue to say that until I see something different. But right now, she's not ready. So she actually discloses her mammogram information to Charles, and I was like, I wouldn't have did that. I mean, it's not me. I wouldn't have did that, because that to me is my personal business, and that's sacred. And I mean, her being in, and I'm not saying he's going to do or say anything, but with her being in the limelight, her being a celebrity, you never know. And you never want to take that risk with him potentially may want to tell other people, like, yo, I went on a date with such and such, she did. But we are also to understand that this is on TV and this stuff is going to air. But still, just for future purposes, if you're not on TV, if you're just meeting somebody, that part, no. You know, anything else that has to do with your physical life, you know, that part that you guys are gonna eventually then that's different. So y'all, I don't know if y'all noticed, but Charles is really touchy. He kept touching her here and here, you know, he just kept touching on her shoulders and stuff like that. It was like, oh, okay, don't be trying to get fresh with her, but whatever. So in the next scene, Tia gets a follow-up call from her doctor's office, and they told her she was clear. And y'all, that made me really, really happy. And she gets off the phone, and she turns to Jerome and says, I'm clear. And y'all, I thought it was a cute scene. Because y'all, I was so happy for her, because now that part of the stress is gone, because that is being taken care of, you know. So we get to this next scene where they're at the Fit Help Summit, and Tia is on a panel. I want to say Tia and Alina will be on a panel, and they're on an elevator. The lady is getting ready to introduce them, but the problem is they are stuck on the elevator. And this is where the episode ends. So we know that they're going to get out, but you know, I'll come back to y'all next week with this. Y'all go ahead and drop your comments and tell me what you think. But before you walk out, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see y'all on the next one. Bye.